All right, deep divers, buckle up, because today we're doing something a little different. We're diving into the lost realm of Malicite, and yeah, you probably haven't heard of it.
I'd be impressed if you had. It's completely made up.
Exactly. But that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
Mm.
We're going full-on world builder today, figuring out what makes a fictional world tick.
Think of it like reverse engineering a dream.
I like that. So we've got excerpts from this guidebook, The Lost Realm of Malicite, and our goal to figure out why this place feels so real, even though it only exists on paper.
We're talking about the history, the myths, the psychology even, that breathes life into this world.
And hopefully you'll pick up some tricks along the way for your own creative endeavors. Speaking of creation, the guide wastes no time introducing us to Maladrex. She's a witch and, well, she created this whole realm. But the thing is, she comes across as kind of quirky, unsure of herself even.
Oh, absolutely. Like right off the bat, she doubts if her realm is magnificent enough, and I think that's brilliant.
It makes her relatable.
Totally. We've all been there, right? Second-guessing ourselves, wondering if our work is good enough. Suddenly, this powerful witch feels a lot like us, and that makes you want to see her world, makes you root for her a little bit.
I'm already invested, and we're only on page 1. And it's not like she's alone in this. She's got these 2 companions, the Magus's Mirror and the Book of Eldritch Shadows, and let me tell you, they are a hootie. The Mirror, naturally, is obsessed with appearances.
Always checking its reflection, I bet.
Constantly. And the book, it's like this grumpy encyclopedia of monsters. Maladrex asks this question, and it's all doom and gloom pronouncements.
They're like the dysfunctional family of world building.
100%. But here's the thing. They make it work. They bicker and banter, but they get things done. And I think that speaks to a larger theme in Malicite, this idea of collaboration, how even flawed individuals can achieve something amazing when they work together.
It's a good message for any creative endeavor, really. We don't have to do it alone.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to the history of this place. And forget boring timelines. Maladrex throws us right into the thick of it with a section called Rumors and Truths, one that stood out to me. The fall of the Malicite empires. There's all this speculation about a curse, right?
Yeah.
But the guide flat out says, nope, not a curse.
Such a good move. It leaves you wanting more.
Right. Like, what really happened?
It turns history into a mystery. Suddenly, you're not just reading about the past, you're trying to solve it.
Okay, and then there's this rumor of a portal to the Feywild, which turns out is totally true.
There's always a catch, though.
Oh, of course. The guide described these crazy specific conditions to open it. We're talking like aligning a constellation with the talking frog while standing on one foot, kind of specific.
And that's Maladrex's genius. She gives you the what a portal to another world, awesome. But then there's the how. This incredibly intricate puzzle that makes you really earn that payoff.
It's like she's saying magic is real, but it's not easy.
Exactly. And that makes those victories so much sweeter. Think about it. What's more satisfying, something handed to you or something you've worked for?
Oh, definitely the hard-won victory. All right, so how is this world even structured? Maladrex uses this system called hexes. Basically, imagine a honeycomb pattern overlaying the map, right? Each hexagon is a hex with its own unique description.
I love that. It's like building a world out of Lego blocks, each one distinct, but they all connect to create something bigger.
And Maladrex is not afraid to play with contrasts. So you might have Hex 7146, which is this polluted lake, totally messed up by the old Empire's experiments.
A good reminder that even magic can be misused.
Totally. But then, a hop, skip, and a jump away, you've got Hex 7140, these idyllic grasslands untouched by, well, anything. It's like a hidden paradise.
See, that's what I love about well-crafted settings. You've got the light and the shadow. It makes the world feel real, lived in, like our own world, right? Not all sunshine and rainbows.
And those little pockets of hope make all the difference. One location that really captured my imagination was the Sunken Deck. It's this wrecked ship half buried on the coast. Just the name itself oozes atmosphere.
And Maladrex paints such a vivid picture with so few words. You've got these rusted crates busted open, spilling coins everywhere. And there's a skeleton, still clutching a key.
Gives me chills just thinking about it. It's like you're right there, feeling the sand between your fingers, smelling the salt air. You can practically hear the waves crashing.
Right. She doesn't just tell you what's there, she makes you feel it. That's the power of good descriptive writing. It transports you.
Speaking of treasure, this realm is lousy with it, but it's really simple. Take the Cursed Crown of Malicite, for example. Power on a silver platter, but there's always a catch.
Oh, Maledrix is a master of temptation. This crown whispers to you, promises you power beyond your wildest dreams, but hints at the price you'll pay. The paranoia, the way it twists your desires, makes you question your own sanity.
It's like a darker reflection of those wishes we all make, right?
hmm
Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it and regret it.
And here's the thing. The crown isn't inherently good or evil. It just is. A tool like any other, and it's up to the wielder to decide how they use it.
Talk about a test of character. Okay, Malicite has its share of classic fantasy creatures, dragons, goblins, you name it, but she also throws in some curveballs, like the Sand Wraith.
Oh, that one's creepy. A swirling mass of sand and mist preying on travelers with hallucinations of water.
Talk about playing dirty. You're dying of thirst, and this thing gives you exactly what you crave, knowing it's an illusion.
It's brutal, but also incredibly effective. And I think it speaks to something deeper, don't you think, about the deceptive nature of reality, how things aren't always what they seem.
We all fall for illusions sometimes, both in our fantasy worlds and in the real one. Okay, the Sand Wraith messes with your mind, but the Time Reaver, that thing is the stuff of nightmares.
Imagine facing an enemy that can rewind time, undo your attacks, slow you down, even age you prematurely.
Maledrix really tapped into some primal fear with that one. The idea of losing time, of losing control. Shudder. But I appreciate that the guide doesn't just introduce these terrifying creatures. It makes you think about their place in the world, their significance.
Exactly. Why is the Time Reaver so obsessed with manipulating time? Is it malicious, or is there something more tragic at play? Maledrix makes you ask those questions.
She leaves breadcrumbs for our brains to follow. Now, not all of her creatures are straight-up monsters. The Wraith Stag, for example. It's more of a trickster.
Beautiful, but eerie. It lures you astray, makes you lose your way in the woods. And again, I think it speaks to a universal human experience, the danger of getting lost in pursuit of the unknown.
Sometimes the most alluring paths are the ones that lead us furthest from where we need to be. All right, shifting gears from eerie creatures to unsettling locations, we have to talk about the Garden of Whispers.
Oh, this place is fantastic. Just the name sends chills down my spine. You walk into this garden expecting peace and quiet, but the air is thick with unease.
The guide mentions the scent of exotic flowers, but instead of being pleasant, it's almost overpowering. And that silence that broken only by whispers you can't quite place.
It's like something is watching you from the shadows, but every time you turn around, there's nothing there. And then there's the pool at the center of the garden.
Which, naturally, you're drawn to. And it offers you a glimpse of something incredible, some hidden truth about Malicite. But it also drains your strength, leaves you vulnerable.
Classic dilemma, right? How much are you willing to risk for knowledge?
How badly do you want to know?
Yeah.
It's like those stories about making deals with mysterious entities for forbidden knowledge. Okay, you mentioned that Malicite is overflowing with magical treasures. Give me some highlights.
Well, aside from the crown, there's the amulet of the Whispering Mists.
Uh,
Control over fog and mist. Talk about a thief's best friend. Or an assassin.
or just someone who hates awkward social situations. Poof, gone.
But it's not just about stealth. It messes with time, too. You could literally create a window where time moves differently. The narrative possibilities are insane.
It's like having a portable time warp button.
Yeah.
I love it. What else we got?
Well, if you're looking for raw power, it's hard to beat the legendary crystal-bound tome. This ancient book contains spells of elemental control and creation. We're talking reshaping landscapes, summoning storms, the works.
Okay, but that kind of power comes with a hefty price tag, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's intoxicating, seductive even, but it can also consume you if you're not careful. The ability to change the world so easily, that's a lot of responsibility. It makes you wonder, what would you do with that kind of power? Would you use it for good, or would you be tempted by something?
Darker. I mean, let's be real. Who hasn't fantasized about having that kind of power at some point?
Yeah.
But absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier that a fictional realm like this can actually teach us about real-life concepts. I'm curious, how does that work with history?
Think about it. Malicite has a past. A rich and complex one, even if it is made up.
Oh my.
We've got fallen empires, lost languages, whispers of ancient civilizations that have vanished into myth.
That sounds familiar, right?
It's like those real-world mysteries that have captivated historians for centuries. Atlantis, El Dorado, the lost city of Z.
Exactly. Except in Malicite, you get to be Indiana Jones. You get to explore those ruins, decipher those ancient texts, and piece together the story of a lost civilization. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. That sense of discovery, uncovering something truly ancient. there's nothing quite like it. What about mythology? I know Malicite borrows from a lot of different mythologies, right?
No, she's a master of blending them together. You'll find echoes of Greek myths in creatures like the sirens with their hypnotic songs, but then you'll stumble across something like the wraith stag, which feels ripped straight from Celtic folklore.
It's like she took all these classic stories, these archetypes that have resonated with humans for millennia, and wove them together, creating something new and familiar all at once.
And it's not just about the creatures themselves, it's about the themes they represent. The hero's journey, the battle between good and evil, the allure of the unknown. These are all stories that have been told and retold for centuries, and they still resonate with us today.
Because deep down, we're still grappling with the same questions about our place in the universe, about good and evil, about the nature of reality. And speaking of grappling with big questions, you mentioned psychology earlier. How does Malicite tie into something as complex as the human mind?
Well, for starters, those cursed items we talked about, they're not just cool magical trinkets, they're representations of our deepest fears, our desires, our vulnerabilities.
The Cursed Crown of Malicite isn't just a power boost, it's a study in paranoia and the corrupting influence of unchecked ambition.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even with the best of intentions, power can warp our perceptions, make us question our own sanity. And it's not just the items. Even the monsters themselves can offer glimpses into the human psyche.
Take the Sand Wraith, for instance. It preys on our fear of the unknown, our desperation when we're lost and alone.
It's a physical manifestation of our deepest anxieties, given form and teeth and claws.
It's amazing how Maladrex takes these fantastical concepts and grounds them in something so relatable, so human.
Because at the end of the day, the best fantasy stories, the ones that really stay with us, are the ones that reflect our own humanity back at us.
Okay, but it's one thing to talk about the world, it's another to actually play in it. Does this guidebook give us anything, well, different in terms of how you play?
Oh, absolutely. Maladres clearly had a blast with this. Forget your typical knights and wizards. In Malicite, you can be a battle mind.
Well, what now?
Battle mind. It's as cool as it sounds. Imagine starting as, like, the intelligence of a giant war machine. Could be a robotic scorpion, a walking tank, you name it.
So I'm in control of this awesome robot. Already sounds fun.
But it gets better. As you level up, your battle mind becomes more self-aware. Eventually, you can expand your consciousness into multiple mechanical bodies.
Hold 'em. I'm picturing like a whole robot army all controlled by one mind.
Exactly. And it's not just moving them around either. Battle minds have this thing called machine magic. They can warp technology in ways most mages wouldn't even dream of.
So illusions, hacking, what else?
Bending the laws of physics. Well, in a localized area, it's like Maladrex took the concept of a technomancer and cranked it up to 11.
I'm getting some serious Iron Man meets Doctor Strange vibes here. What kind of player do you think gravitates towards a battle mind?
Someone who loves strategy. Someone who likes to feel like a puppet master, but instead of puppets, it's a squad of death machines. Plus, there's that whole philosophical angle.
Oh, right. You're this artificial intelligence trying to figure out where you fit in a world of living beings.
Do you relate to them? Do you see yourself as superior? Do you even want to fit in? So many role-playing possibilities.
Okay, battle minds are officially on my list of characters to try. What about those Malicite mages the guide mentions? They sound intense.
Oh, they are. They tap into this substance called, creatively enough, Malicite. It's potent magic, but it changes you. Physically and mentally.
This is like my kind of magic system, high risk, high reward. What are we talking about here? Glowing eyes, extra fingers?
The guide called it Malicite corruption. Basically, the more you draw on it, the more you risk accumulating these mutations. Your skin might turn to crystal, you develop an insatiable hunger for gemstones, who knows?
So it's a constant gamble for these mages. More power or stay human.
And imagine the role-playing drama. Do you hide your corruption? Flaunt it as a mark of power? Maladrex really gives players these tough choices.
She's given us so much to think about already, and we haven't even touched on everything in the guide.
Right. Nanoliches, anyone. Undead beings made of nanites. Talk about a terrifying concept.
Maladrex, you've outdone yourself. Seriously, if you're looking for a new fantasy world to get obsessed with, one that's got heart, humor, and a healthy dose of existential dread, look no further.
The lost realm of Malicite has something for everyone. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you think, and it might even inspire you to create your own worlds.
It's been a wild ride exploring this realm, from its quirky creator to its mind-bending magic. If you're looking for us, we'll be over here brainstorming campaign ideas based on everything we've learned. Until next time, deep divers, happy adventuring.